Some business news here on France 24 with Stephen Carroll, who's with me here in the studio. And Stephen, we're starting in the US with news of a bankruptcy deal linked to the opioid crisis.
A judge has approved the bankruptcy plan for Purdue Pharma, the company that made the highly addictive painkiller OxyContin. The deal shields its billionaire owners, the Sackler family, from further lawsuits. The company had already pleaded guilty to criminal charges over its marketing of the drug. The deal isn't without controversy, the judge describing it as a bitter result. It had been opposed by some of the states who'd sued Purdue over this crisis. They could still appeal. Now, other pharmaceutical companies have also faced litigation over this issue. In July, Johnson & Johnson agreed a $230 million settlement with New York State. Addiction to opioids has been blamed for more than 500,000 deaths in the United States. Catherine Viette has more.
It's a sweeping settlement that will resolve thousands of opioid lawsuits. Purdue Pharma, the makers of OxyContin, will be dissolved under the terms of a bankruptcy plan approved by a judge, with its assets transferred to a new company developing opioid treatments. However, the deal shields its billionaire owners, the Sackler family, from any further litigation. The company pled guilty to criminal charges last year over its role in marketing the highly addictive painkiller. The settlement is estimated to be worth about $10 billion, with the Sacklers contributing $4.5 billion. It also sets up a victims' compensation fund with payouts ranging from $3,500 to $48,000. But some have criticized the amount put aside for victims as too small.
Priority went to states and went to the government because public side creditors will benefit with extraordinary dollars coming out of this unprecedented bankruptcy, while only $750 million was reserved for over 100,000 victims.
Despite the requirement for the Sackler family to give up control of the drug maker, some state attorney generals are unhappy with the outcome and could appeal.
We are disappointed with today's ruling confirming Purdue Pharma's bankruptcy plan. It releases members of the Sackler family from liability for its actions that contributed to the opioid crisis.
The Sacklers have always denied any responsibility relating to the opioid crisis. The CDC estimates that around 500,000 people have overdosed on opioids between 1999 and 2019.
That was Catherine Viette reporting there. Next, Apple is changing some of its App Store rules for developers after stiff criticism, Stephen.
This change will allow companies like Netflix and Spotify to do more business directly with their customers. These kinds of services will now be allowed to provide users with a link within their app to manage their accounts on the company's website directly, thus avoiding the 30% commission that Apple charges for transactions via the App Store. The tech giant says the move follows an agreement with Japan's Fair Trade Commission, which had been investigating its practices. Apple's been under pressure to change its strict App Store rules, which developers say are stifling competition. Let's take a look at what's happening on the markets next for you. European shares starting the day in the red, although not by very much. Mining companies are among those starting the day down at the start of trading in Europe. In Asia, it was a mixed picture on Asian markets and what was being described as a cautious day's trading. Problems with supplies of key materials. That's an issue starting to show up in manufacturing surveys from across Asia. Big issue that investors are keeping an eye on as well. We had gains across Tokyo, Shanghai and Hong Kong, just the Kospi and Seoul in the red there.
Now, in other business news, Stephen, Amazon's freight airline has been expanding rapidly over the past 6 months.
A new report from academics at Chicago's DePaul University found that Amazon was flying an average of 164 flights a day, moving stock around the United States. That's up 1/6 in the past 6 months. The e-commerce giant stepped up its efforts to fly its own packages during the pandemic as passenger flights were cut. The move also reduces its reliance on services like FedEx and UPS.
Finally, for this business update, competition is heating up in the music streaming business.
The Financial Times is reporting today that YouTube's paid premium services for music now have 50 million subscribers. That's a big jump from the 30 million that the Google-owned video platform announced last year. The rate of growth shows how it's competing within the crowded streaming market. Spotify is the biggest player in that sector. They've got 165 million subscribers, but did have a head start, launching back in 2006. YouTube's premium services launched in 2018.
Stephen Carroll with the latest business news. Thank you very much.